Nationwide 90 FM for a live broadcast on Tuesday, August 27, 2024 at JUTC Portmore, hosted by the CliffViews online team. They will explore how the future of public transportation in Jamaica has evolved, bringing you more fuel-efficient, state-of-the-art buses with clean energy, making the investments for greater comfort during your daily commute while being able to track your buses in real time. That's a live broadcast of the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport's upcoming handover ceremony for the new 100 CNG buses on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is sponsored by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
Starting a renovation project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for all your essentials at our 10 stores island-wide. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Jamaica has a limited supply of Mpox vaccines available in country.
We do have limited supplies available in country in case we do have cases.
The country was the target of 4 million attempted cyber attacks in the first half of 2024.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake urges the JCF and the country to reject narratives that sympathize with criminals.
Attorneys back the police's claim of mounting difficulty in serving summonses on persons called for jury duty.
It's hard to locate a person who is on the voter list ready to vote in a particular area when they have removed themselves. I think that's our biggest problem.
BOJ defends what MP Lisa Hanna cites as the unfair gap between the buying and selling rate of foreign exchange.
In news from the rest of the world, Venezuela's Supreme Court certifies Maduro's claims that he won presidential election.
Kamala Harris's speech to provide finale of the Democratic Convention.
In headline sports, Broadbell avenge Olympic defeat to win at Diamond League meeting today.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, two car salesmen from Hungary have been charged after being found with 2.73 kilograms of cocaine at the Sangster International Airport. Head of the JCS Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division, Superintendent Sam Blake, will join us.
Also in the cover story, a leading global cybersecurity company, Fortinet, says Jamaica was the target of 4 million attempted cyber attacks in the first half of 2024. Fortinet Jamaica's senior major account manager, Ronald Donaldson, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we'll ask, are back-to-school costs lower or higher this year? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. You can also message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the Health Ministry has heightened its surveillance of ports of entry in Jamaica as it remains on the alert for a possible reintroduction of Mpox in the country. We'll be joined by the National Coordinator of Dermatology, Dr. Heather Brown, and Medical Epidemiologist in the National Surveillance Unit at the Health Ministry, Dr. Ardeen Harris.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, August 22, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC Buckets. Let's bucket together with a KFC Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The country's chief medical officer, Dr. Jacqueline Besesa McKenzie, says there's currently a limited supply of vaccines available in the country to treat Mpox. Dr. Besesa McKenzie was speaking at a virtual media briefing on Thursday. Shalois Michael has the details.
Up to August 14, there have been 15,600 confirmed cases of Mpox across the globe. The disease has so far been detected in Sweden, Pakistan, Thailand, and the Philippines. East and Central Africa have also reported a rapid spike in cases of Mpox. More than 500 people have died since the outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This sparked the World Health Organization to declare the Mpox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. On Monday, the Congo announced that it will receive its first vaccine doses from the United States. Jamaica is now on high alert for a possible reintroduction of Mpox in the country. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says Mpox vaccines are in short supply in Jamaica.
It's not everybody runs out to get an Mpox vaccine so that they can prevent getting it. And the persons that are to receive the vaccine, of course, there would be a certain amount of information that would need to be shared for them and for there to be consent to receive the vaccine. So we do have limited supplies available in country in case we do have cases.
Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says Mpox vaccines are recommended for individuals who have been in close contact with confirmed cases. However, she warned against mass vaccination.
Mass vaccination and vaccination prophylactically for travel, etc., is not recommended. The vaccine is recommended for persons who are close contacts, for persons who have been confirmed to have Mpox. So it is not given to everyone, especially now when the vaccine is in short supply and countries are being asked that have stocks of vaccine to deploy those vaccines to the areas where there is most need, and that's on the African continent.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry will analyze the number of Mpox vaccine doses available for the reserve and to distribute to countries in need.
There is a shortage, and the intention is to look at the numbers that we have to determine what we need to reserve for ourselves and possibly to offer some of the vaccines that we have to other countries that are affected. We would normally collaborate with the WHO in determining which countries those would be. The obvious ones, of course, are where the virus is highest. But I think it is a good thing that Jamaica does have stocks, and if necessary, we can use those stocks both to test as well as to give protection to those who are exposed.
Dr. Tufton says there are protocols on the administration of Mpox vaccines for those infected.
Jamaica has been proactive in the past as a government, as a country, and so we do have stocks. However, it is only administered in the process, maybe to simplify by saying, of contact tracing. Once you have discovered a case, then you determine who are the exposed individuals in and around that case, and then you offer the vaccines to provide the protection to those persons. It is not something that you should just want to get and have access to. That's not the protocol around it.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Health and Wellness Minister.
Jamaica was the target of 4 million attempted cyber attacks in the first half of 2024. That's according to Fortinet, a leading global cybersecurity company. It released the data on Wednesday. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
According to FortiGuard Labs, Fortinet's official threat intelligence and research organization, Jamaica was the target of 4 million attempted cyber attacks in the first 6 months of the year. February was the busiest month where cybercrimes were concerned. Regional sales manager at Fortinet for the English Caribbean, Carlo Caloca, says the advances in technology made by cyber criminals have increased the likelihood of their success in carrying out their crimes. Mr. Caloca suggests that Jamaican organizations focus on enabling actionable threat intelligence powered by artificial intelligence, AI. He says by applying this to all security devices island-wide, it will help in detecting suspicious activity. Fortinet reports that 44% of ransomware was aimed at industrial sectors. A 70% drop in ransomware detections was was pinpointed compared to the first half of 2023. Fortinet believes this is a worrying statistic. The company says it shows that attackers are moving from a traditional mass distribution strategy to one that is more focused. It says areas such as energy, healthcare, manufacturing, transportation, and logistics were the biggest victims. Mr. Kaloka says by proactively monitoring and analyzing cyber threats, it can help companies identify their most vulnerable areas. Fortinet Jamaica's senior major account manager, Ronald Donaldson, says the report shows the importance of updating the country's cybersecurity platforms. He says it also shines a light on the relevance of including education and cybersecurity awareness programs for local businesses. Mr. Donaldson cites human error as one of the biggest causes for cybersecurity breaches locally. He says due to this, Jamaican businesses fall victim to phishing campaigns that are easily avoidable. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake is calling on the public and members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to reject narratives that sympathize with criminals, urging focus on justice for victims of heinous crimes. In his latest Commissioner's Corner update, Dr. Blake emphasized that the JCF's priority remains steadfast, bringing perpetrators to justice. He says the police will not entertain misleading discussions that seek to divert their attention. Robian Williams reports.
The police commissioner says the Cherry Tree Lane massacre in Clarendon, which claimed 8 lives and left 9 others injured, is a brutal wake-up call for Jamaicans. Dr. Kevin Blake notes that the heinous incident is a stark reminder of the depths to which criminal elements have fallen. He says the police must send a clear message to criminals that they now have the full and undivided attention of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. He says, quote, "While we have always been making the point that criminals are not our friends and we make no apology to pursue them wherever they hide, we must be even more strident in the face of this brutal act of cowardice and terrorism." End quote. The commissioner asserts that a sense of misguided empathy often surrounds the conversation of crime in Jamaica. Dr. Blake has criticized the misplaced empathy. He warns that such narratives wrongly shift the blame onto law enforcement instead of holding criminals accountable for their actions. Dr. Blake has criticized the misplaced empathy that often arises in discussions about crime, where offenders are sometimes portrayed as troubled individuals failed by the state. He warns that such narratives wrongly shift the blame onto law enforcement instead of holding criminals accountable for their actions. He says, quote, "Mark my words, these will be some of the elements of the discourses in sympathy and empathy, not for the victims, but for these criminal elements." End quote. He adds that these narratives, while few in number, are loud and pervasive, often overshadowing the voices of the true victims and their communities. Commissioner Blake notes that the substance of focus is to go after murderers and let them proffer their explanations in court. He says the JCF's mission is clear: to rid communities of criminals and criminal gangs while remaining focused, relentless, and resilient in this pursuit. He's urging citizens to support the police in reclaiming their communities. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
At least 2 attorneys in separate sections of the island are backing the police's claim of mounting difficulty in serving summonses on persons called for jury duty. The matter has again come to the fore after the Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice JFJ, Michael Jackson, blasted the police for failing to do their jobs in serving summonses, leading to a 10-year delay in the trial of those connected to the death of Mario Dean. Ms. Jackson has called for the matter to be transferred from the St. James Circuit Court to the Home Circuit Court in Kingston. But as we hear in this report from Norgay Banton, a change in venue for the matter is likely to encounter the same problems.
31-year-old Mario Dean died 10 years ago after being brutally beaten while in police lockup. His family has been waiting for justice. Michael Jackson of JFJ says the wait is partly to blame on the police's failure to do their job.
It cannot be that after time and time again, this mother is subjected to court hearings being delayed because the police is not doing their work in ensuring that enough jurors are present so that we can have a jury empaneled. We cannot excuse those in saying that it costs far too much to move the trial from Montego Bay to Kingston to the Home Circuit Court.
But attorney at law based in St. James, Hugh McCurdy, says it's not for want of trying why jurors aren't showing up.
And what we find happening is that these people have relocated from one place to another, especially in Mobay. So persons who used to live, for instance, in Norwood are now living at Bogue Village, West Village, Estuary, and other areas. So it's hard to locate a person who is on the voters list, ready to vote in a particular area, when they have removed themselves. I think that's our biggest problem.
Nationwide News has seen correspondence from the senior police leadership in St. James advising the Supreme Court of the difficulties being faced in locating jurors. Among the main issues facing the police are what's described as unstructured communities with vague addresses. The police also cite the fact that they receive little assistance from community members in locating persons, especially where persons are only known by aliases. Persons have also migrated or relocated. Ms. Jackson says moving the Mario Dean matter to Kingston may be a solution, but Deputy Chair of the Criminal Practice and Procedure Committee of the Bar Association, Saeed Bernard, says the problem is very much present in the Home Circuit too.
There is in fact a jury concern across the Home Circuit Court and certain circuits as well. For example, earlier this year, I would have been in a position to start a trial, but for having enough persons for a jury to be empaneled, for example. Out in Spanish Town, in that circuit as well, I particularly remember when the learned judge, in fact, swore in the police officer for him to give evidence as to the summons that were served for jury duty. And he gave evidence, and I think at the time only 7 persons turned up.
Justice Minister Delroy Chuck announced earlier this year that the stipend paid to jurors has increased. Persons who answer their summons will receive $2,000 for each day they appear, while those empaneled to hear a matter will receive $6,000 per day. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 16 minutes after 5.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, Ordinor Tucker has been appointed the new Acting Director General of the Financial Investigations Department, FID. In a statement on Thursday, the FID says his appointment is retroactively effective August 1, 2024. Mr. Tucker will serve in this capacity until January 31, 2025. His appointment follows the departure of Mr. Selvin Hay, who served over the period January 1, 2020 to July 3, 2024. The FID says Mr. Tucker brings over 2 decades of experience in management, information and communications technology, cybersecurity, and digital forensics. He previously served as Director of the Information Technology Unit at the FID since 2007. Mr. Tucker holds a Master of Science in Telecommunication Policy and Information Management from the University of the West Indies and a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science from the University of Technology, Jamaica. His primary areas of focus will be on implementing the necessary infrastructure and personnel to optimize the FID's operations. This, he says, is to ensure that the organization remains at the forefront of combating financial crimes and protecting Jamaica's financial system from abuse.
Trustee of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, Dr. Garth Anderson, is questioning the Ministry of Education's commitment to retaining teachers. Dr. Anderson, a former JTA president and current principal of Church Teachers College in Manchester, was speaking during a session at the 60th annual conference of the JTA in Trelawney.
We don't know who these people are, who was part of the team, how culturally responsive they are. So we are not against foreign teachers, but if you have 10 publicly operated teacher training institutions, who's still asking for numbers of teachers to train and in what areas to train them and can't get it? How is it we know how many to take from overseas? What is it we are going to do? The teacher training institutions have been asking for support to train teachers, and we have no plan. So I'm backing up what is this retention plan that we have and working on. We can't be shooting in the dark and hope for a miracle. Some people will get dead.
According to Dr. Anderson, several teachers are making use of the training programs available locally to prepare themselves for work in overseas markets.
Teachers are entering our colleges with the view to migrate. I remember saying to a student, you need to come in and do history of a grade 1. The student said, Mommy said, this is history where you teach principal. Me can't use it overseas. They are coming in with the expectation to migrate. So the problem is going to become critical, more critical than it is now. We have to put all heads and hands together to find a solution.
Dr. Garth Anderson, JTA trustee.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Venezuela's Supreme Court has backed President Nicolas Maduro's claims that he won last month's presidential election. The court's decision was read on Thursday. It said voting tallies published online showing Maduro lost by a landslide were forged. The main opposition coalition maintains that their candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, won the polls. They say voting data they collected from 80% of the 30,000 polling booths nationwide show Gonzalez won by a more than 2-to-1 margin. The High Court's ruling certifying Maduro as the victor contradicts the findings of election observers from the United Nations and the Carter Center. Both say the results announced by the government lacked credibility.
The U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, will deliver the finale of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago tonight. She'll make the biggest speech of her life as she prepares herself for the sprint before November's presidential election. Ms. Harris will formally accept her party's nomination. Her running mate, Tim Walz, spoke on Wednesday night, making a personal pitch to Middle America by saying, or rather giving a pep talk in the vein of an American football coach. Meanwhile, one senior campaign official for Donald Trump says the Republican nominee is watching the DNC and is irritated by the attacks against him. Late on Wednesday night, Trump took to social media to criticize the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who had given a rousing speech earlier in the evening. Mr. Trump wrote that the highly overrated Jewish governor of the Great Commonwealth made a really bad and poorly delivered speech. Trump continued that he has done more for Israel than any president. Shapiro has done nothing for Israel, and never will.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Jamaica has a limited supply of Mpox vaccines.
We do have limited supplies available in country in case we do have cases.
The country was the target of 4 million attempted cyber attacks in the first half of 2024.
The police commissioner is urging the JCF and the country at large to reject narratives that sympathize with criminals.
Attorneys back the police's claim of mounting difficulty in serving summonses on persons called for jury duty.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC Buckets. Let's bucket together with a KFC Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good.
It hurts if you don't check birth. Be excellent customer service. Our staff is knowledgeable and trustworthy. And we have a wide variety to supply society. And the price is right, yes, it's worth it. The solution to your auto parts needs the one-stop shop. And we deliver too. So if you can't come in, just link with on WhatsApp or call and make your order. And remember, there's no other. So it hurts if you don't check birth. So there's no need to search. It hurts if you don't check birth. Tell them cut the plastic.
It's here! Phase 4 of the ban on single-use plastics, taking us one step closer to the goal of a plastic-free Jamaica. The importation, distribution, sale, and use of single-use plastic food containers are now prohibited. Let's work together towards a cleaner, healthier Jamaica.
The plastic-free summer, just so we start.
A message from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Olympic bronze medalist Rashid Broadbell logged the only Jamaican victory at today's Lausanne Athleticissimo, the 11th stop in the Wonder Diamond League Series in Switzerland. Broadbell avenged his defeat to the two men who beat him at the Paris Olympic Games by winning the 110-meter hurdles in 13.10 seconds. The Olympic champion Grant Holloway took second, 13.14, and Hansel Parchment third, 13.23. Broadbell says the time could have been much faster.
I mean, it felt really great. The last time I competed here, I won, and I came here again and won again. So when I come here, the atmosphere is great. I love competing in Switzerland, you know. The view, everything about Switzerland is really great for me. You know, the food, everything. So it's always my pleasure to come here and put on a good show, and I think I did that today. This race was, I feel like I did more because after I came over the last hurdle, I put my hand in the air, so I knew I got it. So, I mean, if I did right through the tape some more, probably would be a faster time. I mean, I know coach is going to complain about it, but it's just like overall, leading up to this, it's just a lot of ups and downs. So it just feels really good to get my first debut Diamond League race for the season and a win.
Well done, Rashid Broadbell. Rochelle Clayton was a second-place finisher in the women's 400 hurdles in 53.32. She led home Genevieve Russell 54.48 seconds into third, and Anjanette Knight fourth, 54.93. Femke Bol of the Netherlands won in a new meet record, 52.25 seconds. National champion Akira Nugent had to settle for third in the 100 meters hurdles in 12.38 seconds. The world champion Daniel Williams was fifth in 12.53. Former Olympic champion Jasmine Camacho, Queen of Puerto Rico, won with 12.35 seconds. The men's long jump again provided a second-place finish for Wayne Pinnock, who leapt 8 meters 01. He lost to the Olympic and world champion Miltiadis Tenktoglu, who landed with 8 meters and 6. Tia Clayton was fifth in the women's 100 meters in 11.10 seconds. The Brit Dina Asher-Smith won in 10.88. The other Jamaican in action today, Natoya Gould-Toppin, was eighth in the women's 800 meters in a minute 59.68 seconds. Mary Mora from Kenya won with 1 minute 57.23. President of the Intersecondary School Sports Association, ISA, Keith Wellington, says high schools in Jamaica who participate in the Manning and the Costa Cup competitions may soon have to look at the possibility of benefiting financially when their players are transferred straight out of school into professional clubs abroad. Wellington highlighted at Wednesday's official launch of the new schoolboy football season that last season's MVP Kaheem Dixon of Clarendon College had signed to play for English League One outfit Charlton Athletics months after playing in the Costa Cup. The previous season's MVP, Dejon Richards of Kingston College, also went straight into a professional setting after playing in the Manning Cup when he signed for Premier League club Chelsea. Wellington says the amateur status of schoolboy football could make things a bit complicated, but he thinks it's time the schools explore ways of recouping some of the resources put into developing the players when they leave straight out of high school into professional clubs overseas.
That is something that we really have to have a discussion around, maybe not even for ISA itself, but the schools, because I think that the schools really invest a lot. And although they are amateurs, there is a stipulation that when you sign your first professional contract, then whomever you train with, I think up to the age of 16, should benefit. I know that there are clubs that some of these players are assigned to, many of these players are assigned to. But I would encourage individual schools to look at how it is that they are investing in these young people and what sort of mechanism they can put in place to ensure that ultimately when these youngsters move on, they benefit from it.
Keith Wellington. Finally in sports at this time, West Indies will face South Africa in the first of 3 T20 internationals at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium tomorrow. This will be the first match of the Caribbean side since they were knocked out of the ICC World Cup at the quarterfinal stage by, guess who? South Africa. Wendy's captain Rovman Powell says this match should set the course for them going forward.
I think it's very good. It's the first series post-World Cup, so it's an important one in the sense that we have to get back on track as a T20 team, and I think so far, so good.
Powell says 3 players who did not feature at the World Cup have been added to the squad for the series against the Proteas.
We try our best as a selection group to keep it as close as possible to those guys in the World Cup. Looking forward to 2026 for another potential T20 World Cup. It's also an opportunity for us to see other players. Alec Anthony, Fabian Allen, Matthew Ford. It's 3 of those players, that we identify. And, it's for them to be given the opportunity. And hopefully once they given the opportunity, they can grasp it with both hands.
That's Rovman Powell. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Can you imagine getting a marketable skill for free? Your government has made it possible for anyone wanting to learn a skill to get free training through the Heart and STA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons.
The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61124. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
KFC this summer, we a bucket together. Well, I vibe with your crew, yeah, we a stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real ones. My island, we a world champion with my KFC. I'm gonna be me, Jam Rock, celebrate with we. KFC, we a bucket together.
When we bucket together, we are as we really are. Enjoy a family 12, party 15, or party 21 bucket. KFC, proud sponsor of Jamaica 60.
Bank of Jamaica is committed to its mandate of managing inflation, or the general level of price increases, within the target range of 4 to 6%. There has been some success in achieving low and stable inflation, but from time to time, factors including weather and global events may influence prices higher. BOJ is assessing local and international risks to inflation and will take the best decisions in an effort to keep price increases low and stable in the interest of all Jamaicans. A message from Bank of Jamaica.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Unicommer Jamaica presents Better You, a health and wellness initiative designed to empower a healthier workforce. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, August 28, 2024, as we come to you live from Unicommer's Better You Health Fair and launch. Don't miss all the excitement and highlights as we learn more about how Unicommer invests in the health and well-being of its employees. Health checks, nutrition tips, exercise classes, free medicals for the kids, games, giveaways, and enough prizes. Don't miss Better You, promoting a healthier you to a better you. That's a live broadcast of Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on August 28, 2024. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Unicommer.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's nice and overcast outside, just the way I like it. So that's a good thing.
Well, I'm gearing up for tonight, the final night with Kamala Harris. I'm excited.
You are?
Yes.
Well, they've been doing well so far. Let's see if they can land the finish. Eh? Good afternoon to our friends on YouTube. Hello to you if you're joining us on radio. And hello to you if you're traveling home. Yeah, hope to be your company this afternoon. So, the Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division, the FNID, says last week's arrest of 2 suspected Hungarian drug smugglers at the Sangster International Airport is validation of the agency's work. Superintendent Sam Blake is the head of FNID.
This arrest is further validation that the team is actually doing something right. In the last 3 weeks, they were able to arrest persons who were heading to the UK as well as other areas in Europe. We will continue to bolster the resources available and to ensure that we deploy in a manner and in keeping with the observable trend to ensure that we're able to impact the individuals who are trying to use our air transportation to further their illicit ends.
That's Superintendent Sam Blake, the head of FNID.
Well, detectives assigned to FNID carried out an operation at the airport on August 14, where the two Hungarians were in possession of or were in the process of boarding a flight destined for Manchester, England. Their suitcases were checked and found to contain false compartments with packages of cocaine. The lawmen report that the men were then taken to hospital and a total of 53 pellets of drug were expelled from their bodies.
The illicit drug weighed approximately 2.73 kilograms. Charged with possession of cocaine, dealing in cocaine, and taking steps to export cocaine are Istvan Ozi and Andras Rafael, two car salesmen from Hungary. They are scheduled to appear in the St. James Parish Court on Friday, August 23. That's tomorrow. Joining us now to discuss further is the head of FNID, Superintendent Sam Blake. Good evening, good afternoon, Superintendent.
Hi, good afternoon. And good afternoon to your listeners as well.
So your division is on a roll, sir?
Well, so the division has been getting some results, but let me hasten to say these results are reflective of not only the single effort of FMID, but all our valuable stakeholders.
And with this particular one, is it that you receive a tip, or was it just a random check at the airport which helped to discover the drugs?
Right, so we constantly assess what's happening at the airport and update our risk matrix. And acting on the risk matrix that the team is using to guide its effort, we were able to identify these individuals.
And when you say risk matrix, for our listeners, what does that mean?
Right, so we constantly look at some factors based on our seizure records that sort of give an indication whether or not somebody turning up at a point and demonstrating certain tendencies would sort of increase the probability that something may require us to inquire into it further.
And the last time, go ahead, Sanjay.
And based on the find, is it that there are other persons on your radar with regards to this drug bust, or is it that these two gentlemen were found and that's the end of that one?
Well, we will continue to follow all the natural and logical leads that emerge from each matter that we are investigating. So again, we would allow the work to determine whether or not this will give us additional success or whether or not this may just represent the end of this matter.
Mm-hmm. But do you have any leads from it, though, that would suggest that it's part of a bigger drug ring?
These are always part of a bigger drug break. If you think about the purchasing of air tickets, if you think about the logistic that would be required to ingest and to load a suitcase, and the effort to get this out, which could possibly have some insider threat support, then this is always a matter that we view as being syndicated and will continue to progress the investigation using that as an indicator.
Mm-hmm. Superintendent, when last you were here, we were discussing that major bust in Havendale, and you made the point that a lot of times, you know, these criminals or these people attempting to export these drugs or who are in possession of these drugs, they're walled off from the so-called big fish. And you made the point that your division was seeking to break down those walls. We have an idea now of the men who have been charged in relation to the Havendale matter, and it confirmed our discussion that these are perhaps lower level actors. Have you made any further progress in going after the major players?
Well, so I don't want to comment too much on this particular matter. It is now before the court, and I would allow that proceeding to go ahead.
Right. So I understand that in relation to the men who are now arrested. But I was so you're saying then that's the end of the matter?
Not from an investigative standpoint, but I don't want to get any further into that discussion.
Okay.
Because it's going to be difficult to separate
Very
what
well.
I'm going to be discussing with you now
Very well.
from the individuals who are before the court.
Very well. In terms of manpower, you mentioned, for example, earlier about the risk profile and the surveillance. In terms of manpower for your division, are you adequately staffed to do the job that needs to be done?
We're still in the process of building out. I think we're roughly about 50 or so additional officers to take us to the number that we believe is ideal. But what we're doing, though, is to leverage the efficiency gain that arise out of the merger of the narcotics division and the firearms unit. So that gives us additional ability to deploy, and we're certainly using that to good effect.
All right. Thank you so much, Superintendent, for your time. Really appreciate it. And again, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And you're welcome.
All the best.
All right. So we'll take the break. And after the break, the country in the first half of 2024 was the subject of an attempted 4 million. Can you imagine that? 4 million attempted cyber attacks. We'll hear more.
It's an exciting time for real estate developers and investors as the Greater Bernard Lodge divestment enters phase 4 of its divestment process. Offering residential townhouse lots for sale. Over 22.8 acres of dedicated townhouse blocks will be offered in a competitive divestment process. Visit bernardlodgeja.com for more info or give us a call at 876-929-4000. Be a part of the new and promising township by investing in Greater Bernard Lodge. Bids open in August 2024.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy and several women.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation.
Those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311 MOCA at 888-6622-847.
NIB at 811 or the JDN at 837-8888.
Together, we will defeat the gangs and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis, and we are continuing the second half of the cover story. where we got reports that Jamaica was a target of 4 million attempted cyber attacks in the first half of 2024. That's according to Fortinet, a leading global cybersecurity company. The data was released on Wednesday. According to FortiGuard's Labs, Fortinet's official threat intelligence and research organization, February was the busiest month where cyber crimes were concerned.
Fortinet says 44% of ransomware was aimed at industrial sectors. A 70% drop in ransomware detections was pinpointed compared to the first half of 2023, and Fortinet believes this is a worrying statistics. It says areas such as energy, healthcare, manufacturing, transportation, and logistics were the biggest victims. Fortinet Jamaica's senior major account manager, Ronald Donaldson, says the report shows the importance of updating the country's cybersecurity platforms. He joins us now. Good afternoon, Mr. Donaldson.
Hi, good afternoon, Sanjay. Sorry, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we're hearing you clearly.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm in traffic, so I just want to make sure you can.
Yeah, man, we can hear you. So let me understand. So of the 4 million attempted attacks, how many of these were successful? Do you know?
Well, we don't actually have that information in terms of the success. What we can tell you is what the attempts were, which is what the 4 million represents. But I need to put it in context because we got some questions earlier, and they did a comparison to the report that we had last year when it was.
All right, your voice is dropping now.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Are we on? If we're on speaker, though, we're going to ask you to take us off speaker.
No, you're not actually.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
All right. I was just saying that I'd like to put the report in context because we got some questions when it was compared to the report last year that stated that the amount of attacks was 40 million. Now, what has happened is that one may presume that the lower amount would indicate that we're doing better and that our posture has improved. Yes, we could say that's the case, but however, what the actual report represents is that the attackers are now targeting their victims. Last year, it would seem that it was a blanket approach, every and anybody, but now they're actually a little bit more curated in their approach, and they have specific victims that they're targeting, and that's why it's down to 4 million, but it's very specific attacks at specific victims.
Mm-hmm. And when you compare this against other countries, how bad is it for Jamaica?
Well, that's a good question. I would say to you that the comparison shouldn't be just based on numbers, because you have to remember that what they look at is the asset class of each country. So other countries may have more oil and gas, or they may have more hospitals, more education, that kind of a thing. So it would be compared along ratios. And I would say that there are countries who are attacked more than us, but our numbers are still pretty high, right?
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the strength of our general cyber security architecture, how would you rate it? Because clearly these people must see some weaknesses that they're trying to exploit.
Correct. I would say to you that we have seen some really positive results, especially from our side, in terms of the level of investment by government and our corporate partners. It doesn't mean, however, that it's a static field, right? Just like everything else, the attackers, they are evolving, and as such, we need to evolve as well. As soon as we put our defensive up, think of it like your house. In the olden days, it was, a good fence, and we had a fence and a dog, and then it was fence and security systems and cameras. So that, just like cybersecurity and just like the attackers, it's a continually evolving process. So for now, we see the investment continues to be good. I would say that one of the things that we need to pay attention to, just separate and apart from having the infrastructure, is the policies. You and I are the biggest points of weakness. It doesn't matter how much, infrastructure you put in. If something stupid is going to be done, it's going to be done by one of us, right? And And you know what? Let me not say stupid. The fact of the matter is that these guys are really good at what they do. The sophistication has improved, so their ability to trick us has improved as well, and it allows us to be more easily misled. So, whether it's something stupid or whether it's we are misled, the fact is that just as much as we concentrate on improving in terms of the security infrastructure, we need to build on the awareness of everybody. Cybersecurity or security is not an IT function; it's an everybody function because we all represent the vulnerability. So the short answer is the investments are there, but we need to also ensure that the people are the investment is there in terms of their awareness as well.
And there are a number of us who utilize the banking network to bank online. How confident are you that the banking system that exists in Jamaica, there's a heightened level of security to prevent hackers from hacking into those banks, and even some government website that would have sensitive data?
I think each individual institution would, make the relevant risk assessment and make a determination of what investment is required from there. I wouldn't necessarily speak on an individually per se, but what I can say, I know that they are taking the risk. They're the financial sector that we have dealt with, taking the risk seriously, and they are making actions, proactive actions to try and mitigate those risks. The same would apply for the government as well, the government sectors that we have dealt with. But again, a breach doesn't mean that, investments haven't been made and there isn't a conscious awareness of the impact. It just means that the threat actor had their day. However, the breach is one thing. What is just as equally as important is how you respond to it in terms of how quickly you can recover, and then you put measures and tools in place to ensure that you can monitor and mitigate any further attempts.
Mm-hmm. And I wondered, because you mentioned earlier about the sophistication of the attacks and the fact that these guys are constantly evolving in terms of how they launch these attacks. And I wondered, for a developing country, if the cost might not at some point escape us in terms of how much it's going to cost ultimately to constantly keep up with the developments to secure our systems.
Well, I guess I'll answer the question with a question. What would be the cost of not doing it? If your hospitals don't function, if your banks don't function, that cost is greater. So irrespective of what may seem like an onerous amount in some cases, the cost of not doing anything is much greater. I would say, however, because you mentioned developing countries, or let's call it our SME or SMB sector, which would have, I guess, the not necessarily have the wherewithal to have that one-off or continuous investment.
Especially small businesses.
We have a pardon me?
I'm saying especially the small businesses.
Correct. We have a partner network because we don't sell directly. Our role in Jamaica is merely consultative and to provide guidance and awareness, right? But we have a partner network that does that is an extension of the services that we have. And within that ecosystem, they do have managed services that allow you, let's say, for a fee every month or every quarter, to actually avail yourself and keep abreast of the means of mitigation, right? So in instances where it may seem too costly to have that kind of investment, because of the fact that we have recognized that different companies may have different risk appetites and different wallet sizes, we have services that our partners can distribute and allow customers to actually keep abreast, keep secure without necessarily have that one-off investment.
One of the things that jumped out at me at your report is that you indicated that in February there was a spike. Do you know what would have accounted for that spike in cybercrimes in February?
No, sorry, I didn't I didn't check that part of the report to see what would have necessarily caused it. No, I'd have to just speak to the team to get that information.
Yeah. You mentioned that a lot of times the vulnerabilities are, exploited because of something that each of us may do individually. Maybe we're not as savvy as we need to be. So before we go, what's some advice you'd give to the average citizen who perhaps work in a business or in a large government agency or ministry, or as they have their small businesses? What are some steps they can take or things that they should not do that could assist in any way in keeping safe?
And I'll do this based on some anecdotal information. So I've gotten some text recently from banks I don't bank with, telling me that my account has been compromised, and different stories, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that one of the methods that these attackers tend to use is urgency. You always have to have a response for something. Or I would suggest that in the case that you've never entered a lotto, or you don't bank with a particular institution, and even if you do, check it. It may take a little bit more time, and it may be a little bit more of a bother, but it's way, it will be way more cost effective to you and way less burdensome than having all your money lost just by the simple click of one, on your mouse, or just making that one phone call to a wrong number, or going to the wrong website. Check it. Think before you click. It makes a whole world of difference. The urgency that they create is to force that anxious action on your part, and that anxious action is typically what leads to a poor result on your side.
Yeah. Check it before you click it. Yeah, I like that. Ronald Donaldson is Fortunate Jamaica's Senior Major Account Manager. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good
one.
Now
you guys have a good day and be safe.
Yeah, man, you too. All right, that's it for the cover story. The headlines are next with Shalois Michael. You call. She call.
Cover story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan, and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie says there is currently a limited supply of vaccines available in the country to treat Mpox. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie was speaking at a virtual media briefing on Thursday.
It's not everybody runs out to get an Mpox vaccine so that they can prevent getting it. And the persons that are to receive the vaccine, of course, there would be a certain amount of information that would need to be shared for them and for there to be consent to receive the vaccine. So we do have limited supplies available in country in case we do have cases.
Jamaica is now on high alert for a possible reintroduction of Mpox in the country. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says Mpox vaccines are recommended for individuals who have been in close contact with confirmed cases. However, she warned against mass vaccination.
Mass vaccination and vaccination prophylactically for travel, etc., is not recommended. The vaccine is recommended for persons who are close contacts, for persons who have been confirmed to have Mpox. So it is not given to everyone. especially now when the vaccine is in short supply and countries are being asked that have stocks of vaccine to deploy those vaccines to the areas where there is most need, and that's on the African continent.
Dr. Bisesa McKenzie, Chief Medical Officer. Meanwhile, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry will analyze the number of Mpox vaccines doses available for reserve and to distribute to countries in need.
There is a shortage, and the intention is to look at the numbers that we have to determine what we need to reserve for ourselves and possibly to offer some of the vaccines that we have to other countries that are affected. We would normally collaborate with the WHO in determining which countries those would be. The obvious ones, of course, are where the virus is highest. But I think it is a good thing that Jamaica does have stocks, and if necessary, we can use those stocks both to test as well as to give protection to those who are exposed.
Dr. Tufton says there are protocols on the administration of Mpox vaccines to those infected.
Jamaica has been proactive in the past as a government, as a country, and so we do have stocks. However, it is only administered in the process, maybe to simplify by saying, of contact tracing. Once you have discovered a case, then you determine who are the exposed individuals in and around that case, and then you offer the vaccines to provide the protection to those persons. It is not something that you should just want to get and have access to. That's not the protocol around it.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Health and Wellness Minister. At least 2 attorneys in separate sections of the island are backing the police's claim of mounting difficulty in serving summonses on persons called for jury duty. The matter has again come to the fore after Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, Michael Jackson, blasted the police for failing to do their jobs in serving summonses, leading to a 10-year delay in the trial of those connected to the death of Maria Dean.
It cannot be that after time and time again, this mother is subjected to court hearings being delayed because the police is not doing their work in ensuring that enough jurors are present so that we can have a jury empaneled. We cannot excuse those in saying that it costs far too much to move the trial from Montego Bay to Kingston to the Home Circuit Court.
Michael Jackson, Executive Director of JFJ. But attorney-at-law based in St. James, Hugh McCurdy, says it's not for want of trying why jurors are not showing up.
And what we find happening is that these people have relocated from one place to another, especially in Mobay. So persons who used to live, for instance, in Norwood are now living at Bogue Village, West Village, Estuary, and other areas. So it's hard to locate a person who is on the voters list, ready to vote in a particular area, when they have removed themselves. I think that's our biggest problem.
Hugh McCurdy, attorney-at-law. Ms. Jackson says moving the Maria Dean matter to Kingston may be a solution, but attorney-at-law Saeed Bernard says the problem is very much present in the Home Circuit too.
There is in fact a jury concern across the Home Circuit Court and certain circuits as well. For example, earlier this year, I would have been in a position to start a trial, but for having enough persons for a jury to be empaneled, for example. Out in Spanish Town, in that circuit as well, I particularly remember when the learned judge, in fact, swore in the police officer for him to give evidence as to the summons that were served for jury duty. And he gave evidence, and I think at the time only 7 persons turned up.
Saeed Bernard, attorney-at-law. The Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, has launched the electronic preliminary slip, otherwise called e-pre-slip. This is a digital statement of a candidate's preliminary examination results. Manager in the Examination Assessment and Security Department at CXC, Karine Holder, says e-pre-slips will give candidates seeking matriculation or employment faster access to their official document.
CXC is transitioning from the physical printed pre-slips which were dispatched to your school or institution to the e-pre-slips which are downloadable from our online student portal on our website cxc.org. CXC candidates, parents, higher education institutions, prospective employers, and other stakeholders now have the facility to verify results by scanning the unique QR code that is prominently located on all e-pre-slips. Just go online, follow the easy directions, and download your CXC e-pre-slip once results are released.
Karine Holder, manager in the Examination Assessment and the Security Department at CXC. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Whether you're overseas or in Jamaica, everybody wants their little piece of yard. Well, that's where a JMMB bank mortgage comes in. With JMMB, you'll get more support, more incentives, more benefits, more coverage with the JMMB insurance brokers. And also, we give you more time to repay. Your JMMB mortgage expert will answer all of your questions and guide you through every step along the journey. You're not alone with JMMB. Contact us at info@jmmb.com and learn how you can get more than just a mortgage.
Supercenter, everything for your home and more.
Looking for back-to-school deals? Check out Azan Supercenter 2-day back-to-school sale this Friday and Saturday. Come to Azan Supercenter Linston or Crossroads and get all your school supplies while shopping in comfort and style. It's Azan Supercenter 2-day back-to-school sale this Friday and Saturday.
Azan Supercenter, we're gonna make you smile. Azan Supercenter, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
I've been hearing about this constitutional reform thing. You know anything about it?
Yes, constitutional reform is a chance for us to Jamaicanize the constitution.
But how?
Enough things changed since 1962 and we have matured as a nation. So modernizing the constitution will reflect our current societal values.
Oh, a constitution for Jamaicans, approved by Jamaicans.
Are you ready for the journey? Join us on the road to Republic. Think independence, think Republic. A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
It is the 10th annual Good Samaritan 5K Health Run Walk. This year, our main beneficiaries are the children of the Community-Based Rehabilitation Jamaica, CBRJ. On Sunday, August the 25th at 6:30 a.m., we run, walk, and wheel to raise funds for children with disabilities. The GS 5K over the years has raised funds for various charitable organizations and assisted with community projects, health initiatives, and back-to-school support. For our 10th anniversary, we invite you to register for this 5K and give hope to the children with disabilities. To register, you can visit my.raceresult.com or scan the QR code. The GS 10th Anniversary 5K, Sunday the 25th of August. Race starts at 6:30 a.m., warm up at 6 a.m. on the grounds of the Andrews Memorial Seventh-day Adventist Church. The GS 5K, 10 years of helping. Help us, help more.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. The Olympic bronze medalist Rashid Broadbell logged the only Jamaican victory today in Lausanne, the 11th stop in the Wonder Diamond League Series in Switzerland. Broadbell avenged his defeat to the two men who beat him at the Paris Olympic Games by winning the 110 meters hurdles in 13.10 seconds, with Olympic champion Grant Holloway taking second in 13.14 seconds and Hansa Parchment third in 13.23 seconds.
Holloway away very nicely indeed. Also going well is Simonelli. Simonelli's got a bit of work to do now. Robertson's coming back at him as well. Broadbell hasn't got a response this time. Parchment coming into it as well. And over on the far side it is Broadbell who came through well from lane 3. Well. Holloway, a rare defeat. The first of the season for the defending champion. It was tight in Paris. Holloway beaten in Lausanne, and he's never won, you know, here in Lausanne. That's his third race here, and it's Broadbell, the Olympic bronze medalist, coming through to win from Holloway from Parchment.
Broadbell says his time could have been faster.
I mean, it felt really great. The last time I competed here, I won, and I came here again and won again. So when I come here, the atmosphere is great. I love competing in Switzerland, you know. The view, everything about Switzerland is really great for me. You know, the food, everything. So it's always my pleasure to come here and put on a good show, and I think I did that today. This race was, I feel like I did more because after I came over the last hurdle, I put my hand in the air, so I knew I got it. So, I mean, if I did run through the tape some more, probably would be a faster time. I mean, I know coach is going to complain about it, but it's just like overall, leading up to this, it's just a lot of ups and downs. So it just feels really good to get my first debut Diamond League race for the season and a win.
Rashid Broadbell. Now, Rochelle Clayton was a second-place finisher in the women's 400 meters hurdles in 53.32 seconds. She led home Genevieve Russell 54.48 seconds in third and Antoinette Knight fourth in 54.93 seconds. Femke Ball of the Netherlands won in a new meet record 52.25 seconds. National champion Akiwa Nugent had to settle for third in the 100 meters hurdles in 12.38 seconds and world champion Daniel Williams fifth in 12.53 seconds. Former Olympic champion Jasmine Camacho Quinn won in 12.35 seconds. The men's long jump again provided a second-place finish for Wayne Pinnock, who leaped 8.01 meters. He lost to the Olympic and world champion Miltiades Tentalugo, who landed with 8.06 meters. Tia Clayton was fifth in the women's 100 meters in 11.10 seconds, as Britain's Diana Asher-Smith won in 10.88 seconds. The other Jamaican in action today, Natoya Gould-Toppin, was eighth in the women's 800 meters in 1 minute 59.68 seconds. Now to football. As president of the Intersecondary School Sports Association, Issa Keith Wellington, says high schools in Jamaica who participated in the Manning and the Costa Cup competitions may soon have to look at the possibility of benefiting financially when their players are transferred straight out of school into professional clubs abroad. Wellington highlighted at Wednesday's official launch of the new schoolboy football season that last season's MVP, Kaheem Dixon of Clarendon College, had signed to play for English League One outfit Charlton Athletics months after playing in the DaCosta Cup. The previous season's MVP, Dujon Richards of Kingston College, also went straight into a professional setting after playing in the Manning Cup when he signed for Premier League club Chelsea. Wellington says the amateur status of schoolboy football could make things a bit complicated, but he thinks it's time the schools explore ways of recouping some of the resources put into developing the players when they leave straight out of high school into professional clubs overseas.
That is something that we really have to have a discussion around, maybe not even for ISA itself, but the schools, because I think that the schools really invest a lot. And although they are amateurs, there is a stipulation that when you sign your first professional contract, then whomever you train with, I think up to the age of 16, should benefit. I know that there are clubs that some of these players are assigned to, many of these players are assigned to. But I would encourage individual schools to look at how it is that they are investing in these young people and what sort of mechanism they can put in place to ensure that ultimately when these youngsters move on, they benefit from it.
It's the President Keith Wellington. Now to cricket, as West Indies face South Africa in the first of 3 T20 internationals at the Brian Lara Stadium tomorrow. This will be the first match for the Caribbean side since they were knocked out of the ICC World Cup at the quarter-final stage. Windies skipper Ravman Powell says this match should set the course for them going forward.
I think it's very good. It's the first series post-World Cup, so it's an important one in the sense that we have to get back on track as a T20 team, and I think so far, so good.
Powell says 3 players who did not feature at the World Cup have been added to the squad for the series against the Proteas.
We try our best as a selection group to keep it as close as possible to those guys in the World Cup, looking forward to 2026 for another potential T20 World Cup. It's also an opportunity for us to see other players, Alec Anthony, Fabian Allen, Matthew Ford. There's 3 of those players, that we identify. And, it's for them to be given the opportunity, and hopefully once they given the opportunity, they can grasp it with both hands.
Ravman Powell. Now, President of Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board, Azim Bazarat, is the sole candidate for Vice President of Cricket West Indies, CWI. CWI will hold an election for the Vice President on September 20. This follows the recent judicial decision from the High Court of Guyana regarding the Vice President's election, which has led to Bazarat vacating the position. Bazarat was nominated by the Jamaica Cricket Association and Leeward Islands Cricket Board. The nominations were circulated as customary, and every territorial board which constitutes the shareholders was adequately notified. CWI is being guided by its Article of Association in conducting this election to ensure the process is handled with the highest standard of democratic principles and transparency. The upcoming elections will provide a timely resolution to the current vacancy of the office of Vice President and reinforce CWI's commitment to fair governance. Now, Captain Haley Matthews hit an unbeaten half-century to guide the Barbados Royal to a one-wicket win over the Guyana Amazon Warriors in the first match of the massive Women's Caribbean Premier League at the Brian Lara Stadium on Wednesday. Chasing 119 to win, Matthews scored 6-1 or 58 balls to guide the Royals to victory with one delivery to spare. Quiana Joseph contributed 24 against Shabnim Ismail 4 for 16. Batting first, the Amazon Warriors made 118 for 9 off their 20 overs. Stephanie Taylor led the batting with 38, while Shermaine Campbell made 16. Ali Allen bagged 3 wickets. Final scores: Guyana Amazon Warriors 118 for 9, Barbados Royals 119 for 9. And finally, West Coast Fever have re-signed Sunshine Girls Shanice Beckford for the goal attack position. The signing completes Fever's contracted 10 for 2025 season of the Suncorp Super Netball League. Fever General Manager Sue Gordian said the club is excited to have extended Beckford's contract. Gordian said Shanice has shown she has what it takes to compete and her blistering start to her SSN career and the 2024 season in premier example of what she can deliver. Guardian continued by saying her team-first attitude, drive to improve, and her strong connection with Janelle Fowler-Nemhard make her a vital component of our contracted 10 for 2025. Beckford is thrilled to be remaining in green in 2025. She said, being part of the West Coast Fever environment was truly amazing. I had a fantastic time building long-lasting relationship with my teammates and the coaching staff, while simultaneously learning and growing in my netball skills. Meanwhile, the Thunderbirds have locked in 2024 Grand Final MVP Romella Aiken-George for another season. The superstar goal shooter will enter her 17th season in the National League next year. Thunderbirds General Manager of High Performance, Jace Bode, said the club is excited to have her sign on for 2025. I'm Alex Ribby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
For hard-to-get medications, over-the-counter and chemotherapy drugs, visit Dean's Pharmacy Papine. When others don't have it, we do. Dean's Pharmacy. Feeling better starts right here.
The temperature by Dean's Pharmacy, feeling better, starts right here is
28 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 31 in Montego Bay.
It's the Answers Summer and Back to School sale. Get up to 70% off for the summer and back to school at Answers Gifts and Home Center and Answers for Children. Now till Sunday, September 8th. Answers Summer and Back to School sale.
Say goodbye to stuffy air and hello to clean air. Call the air conditioning experts, Geddes Refrigeration Limited, for all your indoor air quality needs. Their duct cleaning services will leave your home or office feeling fresh and healthy. Call them at 876-923-652123 or email grljasocialmedia@gmail.com. Located at 226 Spanish Town Road, Kingston 11. Breathe easy with Geddes Refrigeration Limited.
Office Supplies Brokers Limited is having its grand back-to-school sale this Saturday, August 24 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Get unbeatable deals on all your school supplies. Seek exercise books at factory prices. Stock up and save big. Visit 26 Dunrobin Avenue or call 876-676-6930. Office Supplies Brokers Limited, your one-stop shop for all your back-to-school needs.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. A special good evening to our friends over on YouTube. We invite you to also weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. Today we're going to be talking about back to school costs, folks. September is approaching, and as is the norm, it is back to school for many, back to school for most. Maybe not me, but surely our listeners have children that they are preparing to get back to school, right? And as a result of that, what we're looking at today is the cost, the total costs. You gotta pay for the uniform, you gotta pay for the textbooks, maybe a new school bag for the kids, yeah? Lots of costs associated with back to school, and we had a little discussion in the newsroom today. And we decided to bring that discussion to you, the public. But we're not just going to ask you about back-to-school costs. Specifically, today's Public Opinion is, are back-to-school costs lower or higher this year, right? So let's take a look at what we got on the internet. So let's see what our answers are over the web. We're going to start with X, formerly known as Twitter. Don O'Mealy kicks us off. He says they're never lower ever than the previous year. Never was, never is, and never will be. Drops mic, fair enough. Toots says, what do you think, Nationwide? Who came up with this question? I can only assume that by that answer, Toots is saying that it's higher every single year. It only keeps going up, yeah? Lance Thompson is also in agreement with Toots. He's like, everything gone up. Kind of question is that, Nationwide? DT says, after just buying uniforms, I'm contemplating which textbooks are more important because I can't get them all. Parallel Society says, highest so far. The books are expensive and the overall cost of getting things prepared has gone up. But this might not be the experience of most parents. All right. What else we have here? JD says, if you expect costs to come down when they go up, it better you guy your bed go sleep. So that's what we have for X. Let's take a look at what we have over on Instagram. So we asked the question on Instagram, are your back to school costs lower or higher this year? We have 12 comments. Let's take a look. Nina Jono says, much higher this year. I just hope teachers use the books because it's not like we can give them to other children since book lists seem to change every year. Kushmi says, when has it ever been lower? Yeah. It's Kimmy Possible says, very much higher. Diamond Express Jewelers says, last year I bought everything on the book list. It came up to about $13,000. This year I buy half the book list. Same $13,000. Natasha says, speechless, it high, bad. Wendy Grant 171 says, it is very high because I pay $50,000 from my daughter's grade 7 book list. Instant Cash 876 says higher by far. Tashana Lifestyle says I don't know if it's ever been low. Shanae Brown says every year it get higher. Yeah. Melisha Allen says higher to the worst degree. Jam Brit says, is this a trick question? So if we are to decipher, there's really not much to decipher. It's quite straightforward. A lot of people are saying, listen, man, these back to school prices are out of control. They get higher and higher every year. So let's take a look at what Facebook has to say, and then we'll go over to YouTube, yeah? Richie Dixon says, what a stupid question. I can only assume Richie's saying, of course they're higher, Mahiri. You really asking us this? Come on, bro. Prince Wellington says, higher, even though prosperity is being touted. Rosalind Buck says, when does anything get lower in Jamaica? Best wishes to parents. Natalie Winter says, most definitely higher than last year. Philip Jackson says, while I don't father any children, I have always assisted many in this regard, and based on the fact that cost of living is not static, then every year that reflects the trend, which is mostly going up. Robert Ranger simply typed LOL. Eunice Anderson says triple higher. Ricardo Portia says it's higher. Lalicia White says higher. All right, fun. All right, that's what we have right there, guys. So that's what social media has to say. But what do our YouTubers say right now? Yeah. Let me scroll up and see. See, there's Bali again asking, what kind of mad question did they give Mahiri Stewart to come on the People Them Radio and ask today? Of course it's higher, right? Rose Chin in the YouTube chat says, thank God for scholarships. Yeah. All right. Grace Ben says, foo question. Book list never low. Every year's school supplies always up. Who Am I says the schools should buy back books and sell them as used books. Let me keep going through the YouTube chat, see if there's any more I can read. And sometimes y'all give us a beating in the comments, but I'm going to read them anyway, as long as they're not too far, yeah? All right, what else we have here? Still looking for another comment. But yeah, man, based on what I've read so far, it's a lot. Juliet Sanchez said, imagine the men with 10 plus children. Lord help them. Lord help them, says Juliet Sanchez. We need to pour one out for the fathers out there that got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children. All of whom have their book lists that they need their textbooks for school. All right, San says, well, I find it higher, especially for the fact that I moved away from a high school fee to a university fee. So it's definitely more. That's what San is saying. Angela Joe, Who Am I is responding to Angela Jones. He's like, what? All my books in college were used books. $75 for a new math book. I couldn't afford that. Is that what Angela is paying for math books? Angela, no. That's not good. Let me try and find that. That's crazy. $75 for textbooks to send children back to school. Am I reading that correct? Okay. What we have here? Gloria Jackson says why they don't read the books instead of textbooks. Why? I don't think I understand that one. Are you saying why they don't read the books out loud instead of making all the students buy textbooks individually? Who knows, man? That could very well be a method. Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, I'm going through the comments that we've already gone through, and it seems as though this is a rhetorical question to most people. It seems as though this is one of them coincidental questions, yeah? A lot of people saying that the back-to-school prices are not only higher this year, but they've been higher every single year, and that there has not been a year with a dip. It's just been higher and higher and higher. And that's pretty bad, folks. Is that something we're going to need to dig deep into? Is that something we're going to have to dig deep into as reporters? Do we need to find the source of why these prices keep going up? Maybe we will, folks, yeah? Maybe that's a little teaser for something in the future. But as always, man, Juliet Sanchez says used books are the first choice in America. That's what Gillette's telling me in the chat. Rose Chin says we need to move to ebooks more cheaper. Or you mean much cheaper, rather. All right, folks. Well, at the sixth form and tertiary level, some books are ebooks. Maybe that's the way forward, folks. Maybe we need PDFs. Yeah, no more physical textbooks giving our children back pain. But yeah, that's public opinion as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for participating. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned. We're going to do the business report right now.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
33 minutes after 6. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Uber has launched a new video recording feature geared towards prioritizing the safety of users and driver partners in Jamaica. Uber, in a statement on Thursday, says drivers or lesser partners will be able to record leases through their front-facing cameras. Drivers will see an indication in the Uber app when recording is happening, and users will be alerted that their lease could be recorded via notification in the app before they begin a lease. When the recording starts, lesser partners will receive a notification in the Uber app, and users will be aware of the recording before their lease starts. Uber says if there is an incident of crime or accident, lesser partners can give Uber's support team access to the recording to facilitate investigation. It says the video feature will be encrypted and persons cannot have access to it unless they attach it to the report given to the support team. And we move straight to the currency markets today. At the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 50 cents to buy $1. It cost 208 Jamaican dollars and 18 cents to buy £1 and 116 Jamaican dollars and 81 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for more.
Don't compromise on water storage. Choose Rhino water tanks, Jamaica's topic for over 25 years. Built strong. Purchase a water harvester for an additional water supply. Rhino water tank, Jamaica's choice.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
The following is a statement of apology on behalf of Reverend Harold Blair. Reverend Harold Blair says on the 15th of September 2016, during a live interview that was broadcast on Nationwide News, he made numerous statements that he wishes to withdraw. He says he now acknowledges that there was a clear misunderstanding on his part arising from his conversation with retired Commissioner of Police Owen Ellington in May 2010 that the fugitive Christopher Coke, for whom the police had a warrant for arrest, could deliver himself directly to the United States Embassy and bypass the local police and court, was an interpretation he read into the option, given that Coke could waive his right to an extradition hearing and surrender to the U.S. authorities. Reverend Blair says this incorrect understanding led him to make numerous statements that he now recognizes to be without merit, as well as harmful to the reputation of retired Commissioner Ellington. He says he further understands the distress this has caused Mr. Ellington's family and friends, as well as the impact it had on the opinion of hitherto well-wishers. Reverend Blair is retracting his statements and wishes to apologize to Mr. Ellington and his family for any harm that may have been caused. He says he further wishes to apologize for any harm that may have been caused to the wider Jamaica Constabulary Force, insofar as his statements may have caused the organization reputational harm. That was a statement of apology on behalf of Reverend Harold Blair.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. Good evening to you. It's time for the Nation's Business. We're turning our attention now to the country being on alert, heightened alert for Mpox. Now, the Health and Wellness Minister says it has heightened surveillance at ports of entry in Jamaica. This as the minister remains on alert for a possible reintroduction of Mpox.
Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton gave the update at a virtual media briefing on Thursday. Mahiri Stewart reports.
Mpox is an infectious disease which causes flu-like symptoms and painful skin lesions. It can be transmitted by close contact and droplet exposure. Mpox has so far been detected in Sweden, Pakistan, Thailand, and the Philippines. However, parts of East and Central Africa have been noted for a rapid spike in cases of the disease. There has also been a record number of fatalities. More than 530 people in the Democratic Republic of the Congo have died of Mpox. The World Health Organization recently declared the outbreak of the disease as a public health emergency of international concern. Dr. Tufton says travelers to Jamaica will be monitored for any symptoms of Mpox.
This means that we will increase messaging at our ports and we will interview travelers who have visited countries of interest in the last 6 months. Anyone with symptoms will be treated according to our protocols. Persons without symptoms will be issued health alert cards and told to contact the health department if they develop symptoms. In other words, we are monitoring the countries where Mpox is present, and persons coming into Jamaica from those countries of concern may be subjected to a higher level of surveillance questioning by the health team.
Dr. Tufton says clinicians should immediately report suspected cases of Mpox to the Parish Health Department and the Ministry's National Surveillance Unit, regardless of other potential diagnoses. He says the ministry will also be on alert for any possible cases at local health facilities.
Generally, we will post appropriate notification at our ports of entry so persons can be aware of symptoms and the precautions that need to be taken. There will also be increased surveillance in our health facilities as persons with suggestive symptoms and travel history will be tested and treated according to our protocols. Members of the public are also to advise the health department if they develop signs and symptoms. Additionally, the ministry has begun its national public education and community engagement program. And again, I implore all Jamaicans to be on alert and to take the necessary precautions to safeguard yourself, your family from Mpox, as well as other viral illnesses.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Mahiri. And we were also told this morning that there's now a limited supply of vaccines available in the country to treat Mpox. With us now to discuss, the National Coordinator of Dermatology in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Heather Henry Brown. Good evening, Doc.
Good evening to you and to your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let me first of all ask, we hear now that we're going to have improved surveillance, heightened surveillance at the ports. In terms of manpower and equipment, what does that look like?
Well, you know that we routinely have our public health team at our ports of entry who ask questions, the pertinent questions to incoming travelers. What this will look like is that the team and in time and as the need requires, we will deploy more staff to the ports of entry where they will identify persons, anybody coming in with a history of fever, they will be sequestered and the correct pathway triggered to investigate those persons.
Yeah.
As it relates to manpower, I honestly can't tell you specifically what it will look like, but I know when the need arises, they will deploy more staff to the relevant ports of entry. Remember, right now, we are on an increased alert. We have so far not yet identified any cases of Mpox in Jamaica.
Fair.
And what process do you have in place to interview some of those passengers who enter? Because clearly you won't be able to check and have a conversation with everyone that enters the airport. So how are you going to determine who you will have that interview with?
Well, what the health team typically would do is as the persons come in, they would ask them, first of all, which are the persons who, and so they would have their line listing of countries that they have an interest in. And remember, too, that some of this, the entry form is done online, so ahead of time, they could have a good sense of who the persons are who are coming in from countries of interest. So what they will do is identify those persons who are from countries that have indicated that there is Mpox, and those may actually be taken to one area for further questioning. We also issue alert cards to everyone so that they can understand what the pathway to further help is should they develop a fever within a few days of their arrival.
And Doc, your purview is the skin, and of course, that's one of the major symptoms or signs of Mpox once we develop those lesions. But what are some of the other symptoms that Jamaicans should be very aware of?
I think the challenge with Mpox is that as a viral infection, in the earliest stages, it may mimic many other viral infections. So I mentioned fever. At the outset, they may have a fever. They may have, headaches, swollen lymph nodes, even before they develop the skin rash. So the fever, the swollen lymph nodes, the headache, back pain, just feeling generally unwell, all of the symptoms that you tend to get in the early stages of any viral infection. And I think this is largely a part of the problem. It can mimic many other things.
And we have a challenge here in Jamaica, Doc, where we'll say things like, boy, I just want bad flu. And so we try to stay home and treat it.
You're so right. You are so right. And so this is part of the reason why the Ministry of Health and Wellness now wants to put Mpox in persons' minds for them to say, gosh, wonder if this is going to go into something else. So that what we're trying to do is shorten the length of time that people are out there with a potential Mpox before being sequestered, isolated, before they can infect other persons. So this is the rationale behind this very early alertness and awareness that the Ministry of Health and Wellness wants to do to contain that kind of spread.
And Doc, your private doctors will be very critical in this process. Have you done the necessary communication with them so that they know what to look for and also how they will go about doing the necessary reporting of suspected cases?
Quite definitely. So this exercise of educating the public and the healthcare workers is not restricted to our public sector healthcare workers. In fact, we are right now training both public and private health sector workers together so that we can have an all-encompassing kind of training and introducing them and reintroducing them to some of the forms and the approaches that we take when we have a case. So remember that this would not be our first experience to Mpox. We had a previous outbreak, one case being an outbreak in Jamaica, a low endemic, a non-endemic area. So our team is being refreshed. This is not a brand new situation. So we are really just trying to remind them now of what it is they must do in the event of having a case.
Yeah. I keep hearing from my colleagues, Doc, for example, here in the newsroom, that, boy, afraid of this more than COVID. And I think, obviously, it's because of the very visible outward signs. In terms of how it is spread, shed some light on that for us.
So let's talk about primary transmission, because this, we believe, began in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Central Africa, where they may likely have got it initially from animals to humans, when they may have done, hunting, having bushmeat and so on, perhaps from primates, rodents and so on. And then from there, the secondary transmission took place from humans to humans. And that is likely going to be the way that we will get it here, if we get any in Jamaica. And so how it is transmitted is through touch, physical touch, through intimate touch, so coming in contact with intimate body parts, through kissing, through intercourse, through contact with contaminated objects, which is why hand sanitization and so on remains a crucial part of the infection prevention and control, but also through droplet spread, much the same way we were getting COVID, although perhaps not as strongly so as with COVID. And finally, through a congenital transmission where mother to child transmission. It can cross the placenta, so a child can actually be born with an Mpox infection, or through that very close contact that mommy has with baby immediately after birth. So those are the primary routes of transmission, and very importantly, the usual mask, hand sanitizing, keeping the infected person isolated until their recovery has been complete.
Mm-hmm. And so, in a sense, then we should just practice what we would have learned during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, to the mask wearing, as you indicated, and the hand sanitizing, which is very important in the process.
The infection prevention and control strategies are similar. Touch is an even bigger thing than the droplet spread. So physical contact, touching contacted objects, things that the person, the infected, the index case has come in contact with, very crucial. Intimate contact, condomize, all of those are areas that there's another layer to infection and prevention and control strategies that perhaps were not as focused on during COVID. But certainly, yes, mask wearing, hand sanitizing, and keeping isolated from the index case.
And Doc, those, I know also that the ministry has limited supplies of the vaccine. But what about those who are immunocompromised? Is it that they will also get access, or is it that the vaccine that you now have in stock, it's really just for healthcare workers?
It is not specifically for either of those groups that you identified, not specifically for the immunocompromised, not specifically for the healthcare workers, although both of those groups may end up getting it. What we are using those vaccines for primarily is for post-exposure prophylaxis prevention. So anybody who we believe was definitely significantly exposed to Mpox would be someone who would be up for consideration. This is not a vaccine that we use in a preventive capacity. And by the way, we stopped our smallpox vaccination program in 1977. Persons who were vaccinated against smallpox in 1977 also have an added layer of a little protection there as well, because that vaccine seems to have some kind of protective effect. So all of those persons would have a layer of protection. But the vaccines that we currently have in stock are not routinely being given to healthcare workers, only to those who we believe may have been significantly exposed.
Forgive the vanity of this question, Doc, but once the rash and the lesions heal, does it leave scarring?
You better believe it. That's why we don't want you to get it. That is one of it. That is one. Do you know that, we're probably not seeing a huge amount of chicken pox, which is one of the things which Mpox may look like. But the pox viruses are known to scar. They not only scar the skin, gentlemen, but they also scar the cornea. So if somebody touches them, scratches themselves, and then rubs their eye, they are at risk for scarring of their eye and blindness. And so that's part of the reason why we really do want, to step up the vigilance with the hand sanitizing. Someone with Mpox needs to have hand sanitizer by their bedside constantly. Every time they touch, they sanitize and so on. So that sort of thing. But yes, scarring is a real and true problem with Mpox.
Yeah, but looking at it, Doc, it's serious. And based on everything, Jamaicans should take the necessary precautions. So I want you to remind us again, what are those things that we need to do to help prevent if we have it? And if, God forbid, the individual contracts Mpox, what then should they do to prevent others from contracting it?
Okay. So this is what we would love to see. First of all, vigilance on the part of everyone. We want, if we have a fever and we develop swollen lymph nodes, glands all over, we need to see the healthcare provider. We need to see our doctor in our health center, wherever you see the doctor, so that the necessary can be triggered. Having determined that this person, God forbid, has Mpox and is well enough to be looked after at home as is possible, we want to keep them isolated. Hopefully, they are well enough to care for themselves in their rooms. We want to keep them rehydrated. We want to manage all of their problems, their pain relief, and so on. As someone who does not have Mpox, what do you do? If you suspect that somebody in your family or you have heard a friend complaining of fever and so on, if you have to be in any social context with that person, you should be wearing a mask. You should encourage them to wear a mask, hand sanitizing, and for heaven's sakes, you need to be extremely careful with your sexual contact. Casual intercourse, we really want to, in this time of heightened awareness, we really want to minimize, and if it is happening, condomize, and so on. So these are some of the things that we can do. Sanitize, wipe down, These are some of the things that we can do to as infection prevention and control measures.
And for those who are vaccinated, because the vaccine is available in other countries and you have Jamaicans who have dual citizenship. So let's say someone is vaccinated. How protected are they having received the vaccine?
The protection from the vaccine, I can't give you an actual percentage, but it is very high. It is very high. It is certainly in excess of 80%. There isn't a lot of vaccines available out there, though, I must say. It isn't something that you can go overseas and quickly and easily get. The vaccines that are available are really being reserved for post-exposure in every country, and even being encouraged to send some of what you have, if you can, to Africa, where they are having, a serious epidemic. But you do get good protection from the vaccine if you become vaccinated, certainly.
Dr. Heather Henry Brown, thank you so much for joining us and explaining in such simple terms and with such fluency the threat of Mpox. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Dr. Henry Brown is the National Coordinator of Dermatology inside the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So the takeaway, sanitize and condomize. I've never heard that term before. So you've actually taught me something new, Doc. Yes. Condomize.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. Really appreciate it. All right, a minute after 7, we're going to take the break. And don't tell me there's a time signal after the break. Is there, Book? There's not. Okay, good. All right, we're going to take the break. And after the break, we'll bring you some highlights. The Democrats are gathered in Chicago. Tonight is the finale. Kamala Harris will make history as the first woman of color to accept the nomination for president of a major political party. After the break.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Me? Busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and box. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities, unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of
the perpetrators who committed this heinous act,
the facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation,
and those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, please say something. Call Crime Stop at 311, Mocha at 888-6622-847, NIB at 811, or JDF at 837-8888.
Together, we will defeat the gangs
and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
I only have Hanes.
Make yourself comfortable in authentic Hanes underwear. Nothing beats the never out of style ultra soft 100% premium cotton Hanes underwear. Hanes Comfort Fit V, crew neck and A shirts, absorbent Hanes socks, Comfort Flex Hanes boxer briefs for men, and stylish itch-free Hanes underwear for women and kids. Make yourself comfortable this holiday season, inside, out, and underneath with Hanes underwear for that cool all-day comfort everyone deserves.
I only have Hanes for you.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're on the final lap now. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Sanjay Lewis. And Ricardo, we're turning our attention to the Democratic National Convention. And it's on its way, and it's the 4th and final night in Chicago where their presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, is expected to give the biggest speech of her political career. The previous 3 nights were filled with electrifying speeches and performances.
Here are some highlights from night 1, which featured President Joe Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Kick us off by celebrating our incredible President Joe Biden. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, for your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you.
I've got 5 months left in my presidency. I've got a lot to do. I intend to get it done. I spend the honor of my lifetime to serve as your president. I love the job, but I love my country more. She's tough, she's experienced, and she has enormous integrity, enormous integrity. Her story represents the best American story. And like many of our best presidents, she was also vice president. In 2024, we need you to vote. We need you to keep the Senate. We need you to win back the House of Representatives. And above all, we need you to beat Donald Trump.
Joe and I know Kamala. We have seen her courage, her determination, and her leadership up close. Kamala and Tim, you will win.
In Kamala Harris, we have a chance to elect a president who is for the middle class because she is from the middle class. Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I'm happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living.
Kamala has the character, experience, and vision to lead us forward. So it is no surprise, is it, that he is lying about Kamala's record. He's mocking her name and her laugh. Sounds familiar. But we have him on the run now. On the other side of that glass ceiling is Kamala Harris raising her hand and taking the oath of office as our 47th President of the United States.
That video there from NBC News. And let me tell you, Sanjay, my favorite part of night one was definitely former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, herself, the nominee in 2016. And of course, she would have lost to Donald Trump. And let me tell you, it was something of, joy. Yeah, let me borrow the word that's, circulating in Democratic circles. I was pleased when she said, we have him on the run now, and the crowd broke out into chants of lock him up.
Yes.
And she stood there. And, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they try to shut it down, the chance, and they say things like, no, we'll leave that to the court system.
Will deal with that.
No. Hillary stood there and basked in it.
She had this grin on her face,
yes,
actually.
And I said, vindication. I love how she set it up. We have him on the run. And it's true because the Harris Walz ticket now has a polling advantage. They have a fundraising advantage. They have a ground game advantage. And what's to come after this convention, there usually is a bump. So she's going to see a further bump. And then September 10, that first debate. I think if she gets over that hurdle of the first debate, then it could be a runaway train. And I'd like to say one more thing. Journalists, pundits, those who consider themselves, members of the intelligentsia, we sometimes are very preoccupied with policy details and the finer points. And I've been wondering to myself as I've watched what's happening with Kamala Harris, how many voters really and truly concern themselves with those finer details? Or do they, in the end, vote with people or for people who they think share their values, their ideals, their beliefs, and people who will deliver for them?
Ricardo, I wondered the same thing last night. And I wondered when I listened to J.D. Vance in that interview with CNN. And that was his exact thing to CNN, that Kamala and Walz, they are proposing this plan. And they have not discussed how they will be funding that plan. And I wondered, and I'm like, should the Harris team respond to that? Because that's a question that many journalists have been asking. And then I asked myself, Ricardo, the very question that you're now asking, is it that the voters are so much concerned about that, or they want to hear that the team is doing something for them, things that they want them to do? And I wonder now, will it be a gamble if she ignores the Republicans, ignores the journalists and press on? Or should she respond and say how her team will fund that economic plan?
Increasingly, I'm coming to conclude that people don't vote on those details. They just don't. For example, when a manifesto is released in let's use the Jamaican context, a local election or a general election, how many Jamaicans read that document? How many Jamaicans actually read the document? Journalists may read it, and pundits and those who pontificate and offer commentary on radio. But how many Jamaicans read it?
But
she has
to be
released
fair,
Hillary
Ricardo,
Clinton. Just one more point.
It's two different markets.
No. So I'll use Hillary Clinton. Had very, very detailed policy documents. I think she had something like 100 and odd documents on just about every single matter under the sun. Hillary Clinton had a policy document for. In the end, what did it come down to? Insults, petty attacks, mocking her. Nobody concerned themselves. Oh, and let's not forget her emails. Nobody concerned themselves really with what the policy prescription she had were. Nobody did. And to show you that policy don't matter all that much, as we would want them to, Donald Trump, what are his policies? Except meandering, vague, generalized statements of intent. And if you check how many of those statements he made in 2016, did he actually follow through on? So I don't know. I don't know if it matters all that much.
And she may be pretty much taking that risk, Ricardo, to not go into the finer details of the funding, but just to say, this is what I will do. Because remember, prior to us hearing the economic plan, that was one of the biggest questions. Yeah. What is it that she will do?
And
What's
it's a reflex question. How are you going to fund it? It's a reflex question that journalists tend to ask. But I suppose we need a job, yeah? So we have to ask a question.
Yeah. One of the things, though, Ricardo, that I want to also point out for the first night for me is President Biden. He gave very emotional speech. It was a strong
speech from Sleepy Joe, man. In fact, one of my friends messaged me and asked me, well, sure, so we shouldn't have kept Joe in the race because him seemed like him up for the fight.
Look, Ricardo, it's the first in a very long time I've seen Joe Biden so energetic, so on point, and this is the Joe Biden that I know when Barack Obama tapped him to be his running mate. This is the Joe Biden I know.
Yes.
And it was an excellent speech. And it was...
Went on a little bit too long.
But let's give him his credit. He didn't have this stage a couple of years ago because of COVID. So I'm giving that to him.
Yes.
And also, I think it was necessary for him to defend his legacy and then pass that baton on to his VP, Kamala. And I think that's what he did, and he did so in a very, very good way. I enjoyed that presentation. I agree, it's a bit too long, but I gave it to him because of his final speech. It is thank you. That's what it is.
Fair. Now, the highlights of night 2, serious star power. Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama took the stage in night 2. Also, second gentleman Doug Emhoff.
Hello to everyone joining us from exciting Chicago. The delegates at the Democratic National Convention, well, they just completed their roll call. They have nominated Coach Walz and me to be the next Vice President and President of the United States of America.
We have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. The next President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Wherever she's needed, however she's needed, Kamala rises to the occasion. And she did it for me and our family. And now that the country needs her, she's showing you what we already know. She's ready to lead. And with your help, she will lead with joy and toughness, with that laugh and that look, with compassion and conviction. She'll lead from the belief that wherever we come from, whatever we look like, we're strongest when we fight for what we believe in, not just against what we fear.
Look, Kamala knows, like we do, that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how you worship, or what's in your bank account, we all deserve the opportunity to build a decent life. Of the two major candidates in this race, only Kamala Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
And most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the real Americans, who of course support him, and the outsiders who don't. We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
Another video there from NBC News. Michelle Obama was amazing. And
Ricardo, she stole the night for me.
Sanjay, I remember I messaged in the group and I said, it's almost as if she has forgotten what she said in 2016, that when they go low, we go high. Yeah. Because she took the fight directly to Donald Trump. And I could see in that speech and in her expression and her her bearing that, and she wrote about it in her book Becoming, that she has not forgiven Donald Trump and she will not forgive him for the way in which he targeted her family, and as you heard in that clip, tried to make people fear them by questioning her husband's where he was born, and trying to delegitimize him as an American. And she said it really had a very, very negative impact on her family. And it's clear she has not forgiven him. And, just the way she pointed out that he tried to make people fear them for the sole reason that his narrow worldview could not accept that educated black people were in leadership in the United States. I thought it was a very powerful and a very effective speech. And at the point where she warned also that the same ugliness and racism that Barack Obama faced, that, Kamala Harris was likely to face it twofold. Yeah. And so that people needed to rally around her and ensure that they give her full support. I thought Michelle Obama was a very powerful surrogate.
Yeah, for me, it was the best speech of the night. She shined, and I mean, I enjoyed the former president's speech, but I think for me, Michelle Obama, she did well, and she as you indicated, Ricardo, this thing of when they go low, you go high. She threw that out the window, and
it was like when they go low, we go to hell.
Yeah, we're going lower.
We're gonna go lower.
And she did well. She did well at painting Donald Trump, as this person who should never see back the White House.
And it's clear it's bothered him because he specifically mentioned them, the Obamas, and when he was in North Carolina. So the attacks clearly bothered him because I think earlier in the day he had said something nice about them. But clearly Michelle is having none of it. The new motto is that when they go low, we go to hell.
Oh yes.
she definitely took the fight to him, and I thought as a black woman who has faced it, because and I think a lot of people, and sometimes when I hear people talk about Donald Trump, it's almost like they forget some of the things he has caused. I remember when there was a campaign stop when Barack Obama was running for president. And he had given a speech and she had gone on stage, Michelle that is, and they had a fist bump. She gave him a little fist bump to say, well done. Yes. And that act of giving a fist bump became such a controversial thing in right-wing media circles, amplified by Donald Trump. And they said all kinds of things. It was a terrorist fist bump. And, they started to criticize her for wearing sleeveless things. They said she looked like a man. So they really, really attacked her in a very terrible way. And then, of course, trying to say that her husband did not belong, that he wasn't a U.S. citizen, and therefore was some kind of illegitimate president. I can completely understand why she would not have forgiven those things.
Yeah, and in that speech, Ricardo, from both of them, they showed Trump to be ego-driven and petty. And I remember when President Obama says, it's like the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of the day.
Right.
It was excellent.
Yeah, and news commentator J.A. is reminding me that they also, you're right, news commentator, compared them to monkeys in very, very stark language and imagery. It was nasty. And for somebody like me, I could never support him. I could never support him because he enabled a lot of that. He really did. And whatever you thought of Obama's policies, there was enough to attack him on policy. Donald Trump made a lot of it about race and about class.
Personal.
And I agree with Michelle. He should not be forgiven for those things.
And he's trying it. He's trying it with VP Harris.
I think he's more than trying it. He has done it. Yeah, he has done it.
True. even the disrespect of not even pronouncing her name correctly
And questioning when
You
she
know?
became black.
Yes, crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to night 3. Night
Yep.
3 featured Vice President nominee Tim Walz, as well as former President Bill Clinton and Oprah Winfrey.
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Vice President, Governor Tim Walz.
Thank you, first of all, to Vice President Harris. Thanks for putting your trust in me and for inviting me to be part of this incredible campaign. It's the honor of my life to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States.
Common sense tells you that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz can give us decency and respect. Let us choose truth, let us choose honor, and let us choose joy.
This is the moment to remember when you tell your children where you were and what you did. We must choose courage over complacency.
This is Project 2025, the Republican blueprint for a second Trump term. You ever seen a document that could kill a small animal and democracy at the same time?
Donald Trump is like an old boyfriend who you broke up with, but he just won't go away.
Right now, the other side is appealing to what is smallest within you. They're telling you that greatness comes from going back to the past. All of it compels us to demand more from our politics than a rerun of some TV wrestling death match.
When she was young, she worked at McDonald's. Now she's at the pinnacle of power, and she's still asking, how can I help you?
With the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times. And I know that Vice President Harris is ready to take us to new heights.
It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field. And boy, do we have the right team. Kamala Harris is tough. Kamala Harris is experienced, and Kamala Harris is ready. That's how we're gonna fight. And as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, when we fight, when we fight, thank you. God bless.
Another video there from NBC News. When she chose Walz, I wasn't happy.
Me either. And you know this, Ricardo. I wasn't there.
My preference was the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
But as I've watched Tim Walz, he's really, really good.
Yeah, he's witty.
He's really good.
Ricardo, when I watched him last night, it came across to me as having a conversation.
Yes.
With the boys.
Yes. I think they call it folksy. Yes. Very conversational and yes. And 15 minutes, by the way. I think it's one of the shortest speeches.
I was surprised it was done.
And I appreciated it. Just deliver the message and come off of the stage. This long 1 hour something not necessary.
It was a little bit too short for me.
No,
to be very
I quite liked it because it did what it needed to do. Yeah. And that's it. Accept the nomination. Tell why Trump is horrible. Here is who I am. Here's why this ticket is a better ticket. Bye. Liked it.
And
nice.
I think also, Ricardo, he's reaching the individuals that Harris cannot reach.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And many of those persons are Republicans who they swing.
Mm.
And you need to get some of those persons, some of those gun owners, some of those persons who are the classroom teachers.
The ones who would have voted for Trump and then voted for Biden, the white men.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think the team, they were smart in choosing Walz as the running mate. And he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, and I think it was an excellent choice.
Here is
It was
something
good.
else.
Yep.
Here's something else that I found fascinating as a former marketer and somebody, who was involved in PR and communications. On night 2, was it night 2 or 3? Night 2, I think it was. When they had what I'm going to call a simulcast from Milwaukee, when
Yes,
Kamala was
night
in
2.
Milwaukee, and she beamed into the arena in Chicago.
Yes.
I thought to myself, what an amazing show of political strength.
Yes.
To say to the Republicans, we have 2 arenas full to the rafters. This is the strength of this campaign. I found it amazing. I've never seen anything like that in politics. And just from a production and communication standpoint, I thought it was brilliant.
Excellent.
Never seen anything like that.
And Ricardo, all of this is ruffling the feathers of Donald Trump. And it's so evident based on his response, his reaction to certain things.
Yes.
And to be very honest, I think J.D. Vance, his reaction generally is better. He's on message. I will say that.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't say the same for Trump. But come back to last night, Ricardo. I like Oprah's presentation also. She's
always good.
The historical dots, which I think was important. Yeah. And it's the first time, funny enough, I don't hear many of the speakers speaking much about her dad. Yeah, but she mentioned, the fact that where the mom is from and the dad is from Jamaica, and tried to connect that dot and try to make her more personable. Yeah, and I don't think that was even necessary to try to do that for Harris, but it was good. She talked about the truth, the honor, and the joy, which they're also trying to sell now, as the campaign that brings joy. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I actually liked that presentation from Oprah last night.
Yeah. I see Devon Paul Sawyer saying we're biased because why all know Harris and her running mate don't speak to the press for a serious interview. Serious interview about what? What do you want serious interview for? She's been in the White House for almost 4 years. She has largely adopted all the policies of Joe Biden. What do you want a serious interview about? And that's what we said at the top of this conversation. I think we may have become too obsessed with those things. Yeah, and I don't know how much it matters to the average voter. I don't know. But anyhow.
Sounds like something a Fox journalist would say.
News commentator J.A. said something earlier, which I agree with, that a lot of the ugliness that Michelle Obama faced might have put her off from politics, even though she's so very capable. And I absolutely agree with that. I think she'd have made a brilliant candidate at some point. But I think having seen what happened, she's not
done.
Yeah, she's done with it.
She's done. Yeah.
And if I could say,
it would be really nice to see her.
And if I could say one more thing, and this is gonna sound odd. Up to 2008, you might have been able to characterize me as a Republican. And I think there are still elements of Republican platform that I support. My producer is saying that's not odd because I'm very far right, but I don't think I'm far right. I think
Ricardo is far.
I think I'm more centrist. But no. Yeah. But there are a lot of conservative ideals that I support and agree with. My challenge is Donald Trump and how he has made the Republican Party a party of, it's a cult of personality. Yes. It no longer has any principles. Because say what you want about George Bush, and there's lots to criticize him for, he at least stood for something. And it wasn't just about where the wind was blowing one day or another. Say what you want about Ronald Reagan, the same thing. You understand? And I've always said I appreciate conviction politicians. Yeah? Whether you're on the left or the right, if you believe in something, stand by it. Advocate for it. I appreciate that. He has no principles, none whatsoever. And I just don't understand how somebody so bereft of character and decency, I don't understand you could vote for that. I just cannot understand.
Though, Ricardo,
the man has sexually assaulted women. Yeah. He has committed financial crimes. I don't know. I don't get it.
It speaks, though, Ricardo, of an underbelly in the United States. Because whether we want to agree or not, he won when he ran against Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely, no question.
But I question, why would individuals vote for Donald Trump? And the response is, what we see on stage is what many of those individuals in the United States, they are. Yeah? And they're voting for him because they represent what they stand for, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so happy that the campaign, that the Democrats are moving forward. We're not going back.
Yeah.
That's one. And also, this is what we're standing for. Respect, truth, honor, which is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as they have indicated, the world is looking on. And we have to ensure that we represent. But I want to ask you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Tonight we have VP Harris will be on the stage to define herself. What do you think what she should say tonight when the world will now be watching her?
I think in terms of defining herself, she's done a good job so far. I keep that script. I think what she needs to do is to reach out on the issues that people still have some question marks about. Immigration. Then she needs to forcefully, she's been making the case, but forcefully make the case again that the Democrats gave the Republicans everything they wanted in that immigration bill. And because Donald Trump thought it would make Joe Biden look good, he threatened Republicans and told them not to support it. She needs to make that case forcefully. She needs to also reassure people, I think, about the cost of living, which is a problem all over. We see the problems here in Jamaica. It's a problem all over. She needs to reassure people on that. And just I don't think she's put her foot wrong so far in terms of her speeches. So I wouldn't be too concerned. But I think on those two areas, I think she needs to do a little bit more outreach.
Yes.
And the man is asking me if I was a supporter of Romney. I supported, yes. I did support a lot of what Mitt Romney put forward. I did. I absolutely did.
The better ones.
Yes, absolutely. And he was a decent man.
Yes.
He's a decent man. He's not dead. So too John McCain. Those are decent people. As in, they ran against Obama, but at no time did they engage in the ugliness and that kind of race baiting that Donald Trump does. So no.
I see who am I in the chat saying that she should not run on her being a senator or being AG. It's not cutting it. She must run on her record as vice president. I hear that, Ricardo.
Here is a problem with that, though. Here's a problem with that. Which vice president has a record? And again,
that's exactly what I was about to say.
It's a double standard, I think, that we put on women. Which vice president have a record? Which U.S. vice president has ever had a record? What was Joe Biden's record, quote unquote, as vice president? There's no record. You follow the instruction of your boss.
Yes.
You follow the instruction of your boss. You take the assignments that your boss give you.
But remember when Joe Biden was running, he didn't run on his record as vice president.
Because there is no record.
Exactly.
It is the most useless job in Washington. In fact, the only constitutional power the U.S. vice president has is to be the president of the Senate. That is literally the only one. And here's another Republican lie that Devon is pushing in the chat, that she was a border czar. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
What she was given to do was to engage countries in South America to try to find out the reasons people were fleeing those countries and trying to come over into the United States. But anyhow, it is what it is. Time for your calls, 630-937-124, 618-8255.
If you are 40 and over, CCRP offers a world of benefits. Access to valuable health plans from Sagicor, discounted home and auto insurance from J&GI, and discounts from over 100 retailers and service providers. Enjoy wonderful tours, social events, and much more. Visit our website, ccrponline.org for details. CCRP, life to the fullest.
It is the 10th annual Good Samaritan 5K Health Run Walk. This year, our main beneficiaries are the children of the Community-Based Rehabilitation Jamaica, CBRJ. On Sunday, August the 25th at 6:30 a.m., we run, walk, and wheel to raise funds for children with disabilities. The GS 5K over the years has raised funds for various charitable organizations and assisted with community projects, health initiatives, and back-to-school support. For our 10th anniversary, we invite you to register for this 5K and give hope to the children with disabilities. To register, you can visit my.raceresult.com or scan the QR code. The GS 10th Anniversary 5K, Sunday, the 25th of August. Race starts at 6:30 a.m., warm up at 6 a.m. on the grounds of the Andrews Memorial Seventh-day Adventist Church. The GS 5K, 10 years of helping. Help us, help more.
The University of the Commonwealth Caribbean Recruitment Roadshow. Fast and easy registration. Informative sessions. One-on-one guidance. Join us on August 14, Ocho Rios. August 15, May Pen. August 16, Mandeville. August 21, Negril. August 22, Montego Bay. And our last stop, August 23, Halfway Tree. 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. each stop. UCC Recruitment Roadshow. Empower your dreams. Register today. UCC. Fostering leadership and innovation.
Hi everyone, let's talk granting aid. Eligible targeted loan applicants may receive a non-repayable granting aid of $60,000. These funds can be used for school-related expenses such as traveling, buying food, housing, or purchasing a laptop, for example. Eligibility is determined by financial circumstances and the availability of grants. Apply early at slbja.com and be one of 4,200 beneficiaries of our granting aid.
Office Supplies Brokers Limited is having its grand back-to-school sale this Saturday, August 24 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Get unbeatable deals on all your school supplies. Seek exercise books at factory prices. Stock up and save big. Visit 26 Dunrobin Avenue or call 876-676-6930. Office Supplies Brokers Limited, your one-stop shop for all your back-to-school needs.
Bank of Jamaica is committed to its mandate of managing inflation, or the general level of price increases, within the target range of 4 to 6%. There has been some success in achieving low and stable inflation, but from time to time, factors including weather and global events may influence prices higher. BOJ is assessing local and international risks to inflation and will take the best decisions in an effort to keep price increases low and stable in the interest of all Jamaicans. A message from Bank of Jamaica.
We're taking your calls now. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Alaric.
Good evening, guys. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Hi, Alaric. We're good.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
All right. I'm listening to you guys, and Ricardo, you know I love the American politics too, and Sleepy Joe.
Nice, man.
Alaric, him never so sleepy the other night, though.
No, I come into that.
In the hours of the night.
I have to call Ricardo to tell Ricardo that him wake up.
Yes, man, in the hours of the night.
I come into that for them and that. But before I go there, you guys will never see Michelle run for president. They did her too badly in her family.
Yeah, man, it was nasty, man, and terrible.
And she's not, she loves her family so much. She's not going, she was first lady for 8 years.
Yes.
She's not going to let her family go back through that again. They call them names. They do everything. And
was nasty.
Everything.
And a lot of it was
Donald Trump
supported and pushed by Donald Trump. Absolutely.
Yes.
And so I am so glad she took it to him the other night, man. She'll never ever forgive him. And I would have done the same thing too.
True. Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. In terms of this race, and in terms of the momentum that the vice president is getting, Ricardo, I hear you and Cliff saying that the night of September 10th will define whether she wins or not.
I think so.
My argument to you guys is, and Ricardo, I love how you put it, but my argument to you guys is, the only thing September 10th will do is to define how bigger a margin she will get.
No, Alaric, remember, it was that first debate that defined the fact that Joe Biden is out of this race. Yeah, even though we knew from before based on signs that we were seeing. So I think Democrats looking on, they have to take this one seriously because I know Trump is going to try all his different tactics to try to bring her down. She must be prepared for him.
Don't you think she's coming well prepared? She's a prosecutor and she was a prosecutor. No, man.
Right. And as I was saying to Cliff the other night, Alric, when I want to see how somebody's gonna do in a debate, as somebody who has coached debated myself, I usually go and watch previous encounters, right? And everything I've seen from when she ran for district attorney, those debates, when she ran for attorney general, when she ran for Senate, her questioning in the Senate, her debate performance against former Vice President Pence, gives me confidence that she will do well. The fear, though, is that because Donald Trump he tries to use, I've watched him on the stage, he tries to use his sheer size, which is a tactic Sanjay would know. You use your body language sometimes to intimidate. You interrupt a lot to try to throw people off. It requires her to be focused in a way that sometimes
right through the debate.
Right.
Yes.
But
sometimes that can shake you.
I don't want to give somebody else a chance. I'm going to throw something else at you guys before I go to the other point I wanted to make. You guys play draft, right?
Draft is like checkers, yeah.
Yes. Donald Trump is on a mirror clipping, so he's taking 1 year. Now, a new player comes in the ring. And all of a sudden, he realized that he took 1 year and 1 day, but this player does a bam, 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 takes 3 and is crowned. Donald Trump right now doesn't know what to do or how to respond. And this is my last point. And
no, but I just want to say this in Alric. He's not out of the race as yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. I think a lot will rest on it, but I hear you, Alric. I'm not awfully worried about her because him don't know nothing. Him don't have the details of knowing nothing.
And my last point before I go. The vice presidential pick is the best thing she could have done.
Yes.
He's a man that is accustomed to being easygoing, folksy, as I said.
Yes.
Get into the trenches, and he will appeal to the ordinary Americans, even some Republicans who did not know what to do and didn't want to vote for Donald. They will vote for Harris because of the vice presidential pick.
All right, Alric.
Definitely. That's
all
true.
right, guys.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you, Alric.
Brother Cleveland.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Good.
Sanjay, how you?
Good. How you do?
I'm good. Giving thanks and praise. Tell me something. I'm all in support of teachers,
Yes.
But why does the Teachers Association go like it's pure politicians them choose to lead the Teachers Association? Why?
It's a very political organization.
Oh gosh, man, they're getting boring every time, and the whole of them just want to dictate to the government what to do. I'm going like they're God Almighty.
But you see, because of the strength and the numbers that they have, they can flex political power.
Come on.
But you're right. It has operated that way for years now.
When you hear them talk to, it's as if the government must give them spend all of the budget on them. Because they are so important. Yes, they're important, but they don't have to overdo the work.
And it must be noted that a lot of what we spend now on education goes into salaries.
Yes,
that must not be lost. Yes.
Yeah, but you see, Alric, I'll flip it. Unions have a responsibility to defend the rights of those who they represent. So they're doing exactly what they are.
I don't know if I agree or not, Sanjay. I don't know if I agree. Here's the thing. You have a responsibility to advocate on behalf of those you represent. But it's what kind of advocacy?
And you know the revenue, what the revenue is all about. Them one want it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And every time you see them, because them just, God, them criticize every Jesus thing and just dictating. You know, just to Mr. Garton, this and the thing. I just have to just turn him off. Come on. All the the government must train more teachers. And you don't have to bring teachers here. but yet them glad when them pack up and gone and leave the place empty without teachers. Because no care what them say and do will never able to pay teachers higher than everybody else.
You know, when I heard the comment, and it's a comment that I've interviewed Garth Anderson on before. I remember last year he made the same comment. And when I asked him the question, what else do you think can be done? I don't think that I got an adequate response, because you're dealing with a situation where teachers sometimes will give notice the last week in
The last
August.
moment, that's not good.
It is difficult. It is, and we have to be real. It is difficult. So I don't know what else can possibly be done. Honestly, I don't know.
I'm sticking up the government, man. And it's not fair. It's not fair. Yes, you go and you send the money back, you may see something of it. But trust me, you want to leave a country that everybody being done, nobody to teach them because of what money you can make other places.
And I think it was the Prime Minister who said it, the government in many ways, they become a victim of their own success.
That's true.
Because, they've done better.
Yes.
The economy has, we're
moving in the right direction.
Right, we're collecting more, we're paying down the debt. Yeah. And some more people are going to make a call on the budget.
And trust me, sir, I feel a way that may come out of the system so long after living under wage freeze for so long.
You know,
and
Cleveland,
the little pittance me getting for my pension.
I was thinking about that one day, and I was saying, boy, if you were a civil servant back in the early 2000s and the 1990s and you retired, you're supposed to bex.
Pittance me getting pittance.
After for so long being paid so poorly, and then all of a sudden, big increase just drop.
The government trying its best to make we get live. Because let me tell you something. All you hear the same people talk about the healthcare system. It is 10 times, 20 times better than when they were there.
There is no question about that. It has improved significantly.
Of course it do.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the other thing I just want to tell Mr. Baz, who opened up the whole of the book of the public service business in Jamaica, make we hear and see it. Because for a long time, I say, some bad deal was signed to. And is it creating the problem today? Anyway, me go on.
All right.
Yeah. I see my friend Jacqueline in the chat, Ricardo. She's saying the 10th of September is her birthday. That's why I like Jacqueline. Jacqueline, mine is the 19th of September.
Well,
that's why I like her. Eh?
Well, when Kamala win the debate, happy birthday, Jacqueline. Seabert.
Carter Brooks, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you, my friend?
I'm good so far. What's on my mind tonight?
I didn't hear that, my brother. The line went bad. Say again?
I'm here taking it easy. You want to know what's on my mind tonight?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, why the world of social media is so dangerous?
Why the what?
Why the world of social media is so dangerous. When you say dangerous, what do you mean?
Bad.
In what way? In what way you think it's bad?
Because people bully people online.
Oh, you mean the bullying?
Social media is dangerous.
Yeah, well, I think, Seabert, I'm going to call him keyboard bad man. Because I think a lot of times people will behave in particular ways on social media that they wouldn't behave to your face, So it's easy to hide behind a screen and feel like you have strength. And then I think also that there is this herd mentality sometimes, and it feeds bullies, which is why, and it's interesting because there's a particular government minister, a state minister, she doesn't stand for it, and I quite like it, that when they try to bully her, she responds forcefully, and I actually quite like it. Because, there's a way in which we think we should just hurl any kind of insult and attack and vitriol at people, and they should just remain silent.
Because especially when people go online, people spread rumors and lies and misleading information.
Yes. And there's no consequence. Yes.
Why? It's just why though.
And they hide behind a name that they create. You don't know who they are, and they say those awful things. Yeah.
Yes. Because teenagers and young children are victims of child pornography online because young children receive inappropriate message from strangers online, people that they don't know.
Absolutely.
And number two, when high school girls in high school, when they are using their phone, they receive a naked photograph on their phone. A sexual predator sent it to them.
Yes, those are also real problems online. All right, Seabird, thanks for the call.
I see. News commentator J.A. Ricardo says his daughter is born on the 19th of September. She'll be 1 year old. Yeah.
Aw.
Good choice.
Aw.
Yeah, the 19th. Good day. And Marigold, she just joined the dance, so she come in late. That's strange for Marigold to be here so late.
Marigold, where did you there? Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Sanchez. Sanjay, good evening.
What are going?
Yes, the American politics. And with the poll, what you need to remember is they are more registered Democrat than Republican. And when you see the poll,
I think actually there are more Republicans registered. I think.
No, man, more Democrat registered than them.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right, go on.
All right. And when you see the poll and say Democrat is leading, I take for them 2 examples. Hillary get about 5 million more votes than but and still lose.
Yes.
So you can't just be a look at the number and say Democrat is going to win.
Right.
And the only way you could judge that number is when it's measured within the background state.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah, man.
Right.
We know that. Yeah, man.
Right. All right. So the next, you cannot really set a real gauge on what is taking place now. The real gauge going to start after the 10th. After the debate, that's when the real gauge starts.
Agreed. But as I said, momentum is important.
Yeah,
and you also look at trend lines, polling trends. Yeah.
But that means to sustain and maintain.
No, absolutely.
Okay, right.
Which is why we're saying that after the 10th, he could either drop flat, boof, or run away.
Exactly. Because with the debate, I think Kamala have more to lose than Donald. Because with Donald, everybody know what is expected of Donald, and everybody can write the script of what Donald is going to say.
I would agree with you on that.
Right.
The expectation for her will be high. I agree.
Right, because she has to prove herself. She has to prove herself to the people how much you can withstand pressure and how much you can deliver as when Donald Trump tried to intimidate her.
Agreed. I agree with that.
Right. Is she going to buckle under the pressure?
Absolutely.
Are she going to stand strong?
Right, which is what I was saying earlier. He uses his sheer size to intimidate. He tried to do it to Hillary Clinton.
That's what he did to Hillary.
Yes.
And in spite of the fact he said Donald Trump never want to concede when they lose now. If you know, when Hillary lose to Donald Trump, it was a very, very, very hard thing for she to digest,
Yes.
It take a long time for she to concede, say, yes, I did lose, Right? Because the only difference, is that Hillary would not fight that she's going to be in the White House like Donald never want to lead the White House. Right? So those are the different things. So the real race now after the 10th, if Kamala can maintain the momentum that she's getting now. And the final thing, you see those persons who are supporting Donald Trump, they are not wavering whether they're going to support Donald Trump or not. Those are locked in.
Right.
It's those that supported Kamala. Most young people, and they are known to not so reliable.
And I'm glad you said that, which is why it's so important for there to be vibes.
Exactly.
Because you have to keep them engaged and keep them yes.
Maintain the momentum
Absolutely.
that they have. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Other that you all right. I enjoy what is taking place now, because what I enjoyed about last night, is the vice president. And when he stand and deliver and make a beautiful speech, is his son? That's what I said. That's my dad.
Yes,
that's my dad.
That was a very nice
moment.
It
was an emotional
but do you see that the Republicans, some Republicans are attacking him online?
Yeah. But that's
not surprised at all.
You're not going to get rid of that, you know.
Them don't have no character. Them don't have no decency.
Right.
They have to attack in a Ricardo. They don't have any.
But why would you attack a child? Why would you attack a child for crying and being proud of his father?
And that is the style of some of those persons who are supporting Donald Trump.
And what next thing I like with the vice president, you know, is the way he talk and the way he present himself.
Mm-hmm.
There's anybody gonna say he cannot understand. He does not speak to them.
Yes.
He speak to the people, the grassroots person in the community that we're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So most person, the white, and those are downtrodden, can familiarize themselves with what he was saying.
Yeah.
Those are the exact individuals that they want him to target, and I think that he's reaching them.
So it's a good pick. It's a good movement. As I just say no. I was in favor of the Pennsylvania governor.
Yeah, man, I supported him.
All of us.
Because believe me, when he's speaking, you can almost say it's a second coming of Obama. he copy.
Yes. I think so. He has a similar bearing for real.
In hindsight, though, I don't think that he, back then we were rooting for him, but I don't think that if she had selected him,
he has main character energy.
No, exactly.
My thing, he has main character energy. I don't know if he could play effective number 2.
No, yes. What I would say, the VP that she have now is a very good VP.
Yeah.
But with Sheppy, I don't think she would lose anyway. The vibe, with Sheppy, he was not going to lose Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania, out of all the swing states that the so-called speak about, Pennsylvania is the biggest one of them all.
Yeah.
And
have a run, leave you no faithful out of time.
Yep.
I appreciate the call, though, my brother.
Ricardo, quickly before, news commentator J.A., I said a male when I was responding. It's actually a female.
No, man, me just there wait.
I want to
me there wait for she attack you. Because me ear said, look how she go fix your business.
You couldn't correct me, Ricardo. Jesus. Let me walk right into the fire.
Boy, Sheldon, somebody on YouTube named Sheldon. Boy, you sad like funeral. You just complain. Come on, man. I cost about what? How much things are happening in Jamaica and we are talking about foreign. You were talking about Jamaica all the time. You're sad like funeral. Chirp yourself, man. But news commentator is one of my favorite YouTubers. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Devon says, I dare you to speak on the protest going on outside the convention. What is there to speak on? You know there's a protest. You know why they're protesting. What do you want me to speak on?
Fox is already broadcasting it.
Thank you. Yeah, you can watch it on Fox, Devon. They'll tell you all about it. We're out of time. Dana David, big up yourself, my G. Andrew Glenn Anderson, our pilot. Thank you, sir. Cara Powell and my colleagues in the newsroom, the best in the business. Thank you all for making Nationwide at 5 possible. Our friends, contributors, our sponsors, we appreciate you so much. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. I'm wishing for you a wonderful evening. Please stay safe.
Good evening.
The government of Jamaica has purchased brand new state-of-the-art buses to further enhance commuter experience, reduce wait times, comfortable seats, cool AC, and a smoother ride. Travel with the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport as they build a modern world-class transportation system to serve Jamaica even better.